Why did you pick that coffee this morning and not the one next to it? Why work an 8-hour day and not 7 or maybe 9? All these little decisions, they feel so personal, almost random at times. But what if they're not? What if there's a hidden logic, a kind of blueprint behind everything we do? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on that logic. We're going to use some really cool economic tools to decode why we choose what we choose.
All right, let's just jump right in with a real-world puzzle. So, there's this company, Boxes Limited, a packaging firm down in Texas, and they had a huge problem. They just couldn't hire enough people to keep up with all their orders. And the weirdest part, they were already paying almost 30% more than the average wage in the area. It made absolutely no sense.
Then, a new manager shows up. And instead of just throwing more money at the problem, she introduces this really clever overtime plan. And boom, just like that, the problem was solved. Not only that, but profits shot up by 20%. So the big mystery we're going to solve today is this. Why did this specific, kind of complex overtime plan work so well when just offering a higher wage failed? The answer, it turns out, is all in the theory of individual behavior.
To crack this case, first we've got to understand the two fundamental forces that are always pulling on us whenever we make any decision. Seriously, it's like this constant battle happening inside our heads every single day.
Think of it like this. On one side, you've got your wants. This is what economists call your preferences. It's your own personal map of happiness, all the things you truly desire. And on the other side, you've got your wallet, your budget. This is like a financial fence. It's the hard limit on what you can actually afford. And every single choice we make, from buying a car to picking a sandwich, is basically a negotiation between these two things.
So let's tackle the wants side of the equation first. Now, you might think our desires are just totally chaotic and unpredictable. But what's so fascinating is that economists have found they actually follow a few really simple, logical rules.
It really boils down to just a few core ideas. First, our wants are complete. That just means if you look at two options, you can always decide if you prefer A, B, or you just don't care. Second, more is better. Simple enough, right? 2 cookies are better than 1. But, and this is so important, we also have diminishing returns. That first cookie is incredible. The 10th cookie, not so much. And finally, our choices are transitive, meaning they're consistent. If you prefer a coffee to tea and tea to juice, you're definitely going to prefer a coffee to juice. These simple rules, believe it or not, create a predictable map of what we desire.
So that's our wants. Now let's talk about the other side, our wallets. This is the hard reality check, and it's called the budget constraint. It is a very, very clear line in the sand. It's what separates everything you can afford from everything you can't.
Let's make this totally real. Imagine you've got $100 a week to spend. That's your income.
And let's say you're deciding between two things. We'll call the first one Good X, and it costs just $1.
And your other option, Good Y, is a little more expensive at $5. Now, just with those 3 numbers, we can draw your line in the sand.
Your income and these prices create what economists call a budget line. It's basically a straight line on a graph that shows you every single possible combo of good X and good Y you can buy if you spend all $100. If you spend it all on X, you get 100 of them. Spend it all on Y, you get 20. Or you can have any mix you want right on that line.
Okay, so we've got our map of desires, our wants. And we've got our financial fence, our wallet. Now for the really cool part. Let's see what happens when we put them together to find that single best, most satisfying choice we can make.
And here it is, the key idea, your perfect choice. What economists call consumer equilibrium happens at the exact point where what you're willing to trade is a perfect match for what the market is offering. It's that one magical spot where your personal map of happiness just gently touches up against your financial fence. That's the sweet spot. That's the point where you get the most possible satisfaction.
And what's so cool is this model isn't just some abstract theory. It actually explains all sorts of things we see in the real world. From the deals at the grocery store to why we like certain birthday presents more than others. So think about a buy one, get one free deal. It's not just a simple discount. What that deal actually does is it puts a sharp bend or a kink in your budget line. It totally changes the shape of your choices and can literally nudge you into buying something you wouldn't have otherwise. It's a strategic way of reshaping your financial fence.
This model also shows us exactly why getting cash for your birthday almost always feels better than getting a specific gift, even if it's worth the same amount of money. A physical gift, what we call an in-kind gift, kind of locks you into one option. But cash expands your entire budget line, your whole world of possibilities. It gives you the freedom to find your own perfect sweet spot, maximizing your happiness.
All right, now that we've got our tools, let's head back to Texas and solve that mystery from the beginning. Let's apply this whole framework to the labor shortage at Boxes Limited.
So for a worker, the big decision isn't about buying good X or good Y. The two things they're constantly trading off are leisure, their precious time off, and income, the money they get from going to work. Your wage is just the price the market pays for 1 hour of your leisure time.
And here it is. This is the aha moment. A standard flat wage of, say, $16 an hour gives a worker a straight, predictable budget line. But the manager's new overtime plan, it created a kinked budget line. For the first 8 hours, the trade-off is normal. But after that 8-hour mark, the line suddenly gets way steep.
And that is why it works so brilliantly. The new plan didn't just offer more money, it strategically changed the shape of the choice itself. After 8 hours, the decision to work 1 more hour became almost irresistible. Suddenly, the trade-off wasn't just another $16 for an hour of your free time. It was now $24. It made that next hour of work incredibly valuable, pushing people to work longer days without the company having to raise its base pay for every single hour.
And what was the result? By understanding this deep logic of how people make choices, by literally reshaping the budget constraint between leisure and income, the company didn't just solve its labor shortage, it increased its profits by a whopping 20%. It's a perfect real-world example of smart economics in action.
So you see, this theory of individual behavior isn't just for dusty textbooks or economists. It's really a lens, a new way of seeing the hidden architecture of choice that's all around us. Which kind of leads to one last question to chew on. Now that you can see the model, what invisible incentives are out there shaping your next big decision?